Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today's video is part 2 in my breastfeeding series, and it is my breastfeeding essentials. If you haven't seen part 1, which is a breastfeeding 101 or kind of a breastfeeding crash course video, go check that one out in the cards, and I'll leave a link in the description box below. Before you watch any further, hit that red subscribe button so you can see all the content I put out here on my channel. Let's get started. So, like my last video, I just want to put a quick disclaimer that I'm not an IBCLC. I don't have any professional lactation education. This video isn't as much actual breastfeeding information, more as products that help me along my breastfeeding journey, just make things a little bit easier. I do want to say that I am not a professional, just a mom who has breastfed a baby for 8.5 months now. Another quick disclaimer is that the only two things you really need to be successful in breastfeeding is a boob and a baby. If you have those two things, then you are good to go. These are just some things that could make it a little bit easier for you, as we all know that breastfeeding is not usually a walk in the park. So my first breastfeeding essential is something that I mentioned in my Breastfeeding 101 video, and that is a support system. Your support system is probably the #1 thing that will help you through your journey. People who know about breastfeeding that you can ask advice, you can talk to, you can vent to, that are going to encourage you rather than discourage you. This support system can look different for everybody. I won't get too into it, as I said almost the same exact thing in my last video. Mine was made up of mostly moms that I knew online. It could be family members, it could be friends. The La Leche League is a great resource, someone who's going to back you up and be there for you when you're in the pits of motherhood. My second breastfeeding essential is this book. This book is called The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding, and it is the La Leche League's book. This is the holy grail of breastfeeding information, in my personal opinion. I think that reading this when I was pregnant, before I had my daughter, made breastfeeding a whole lot less complicated. There is a lot of amazing information in here, from the basics all the way to what to do if you have mastitis or thrush or clogged ducts. There's a chapter for each stage in your baby's life. There's a newborn chapter, the first few nights, there's first few months. It's a pretty big book. There is a lot of information in here, and what is also cool is that there are tear-out sheets in the back. Another really amazing thing about this book is that there is a huge reference section. These are all references of other resources you can check out on different topics. Here's an index, super great, the Bible Holy Grail of breastfeeding. My next must-have item is something that might be a little bit obvious, but I just don't think that I would have been able to breastfeed as great without them. Nursing bras. Also nursing tanks or nursing gowns, anything like that that has this little clip. You just unclip and pull down, and it still stays on your shoulder, but you got that full access. These just make it infinitely easier to feed your baby and have that access instead of trying to pull something down or anything that slips. It's just easier this way, especially when you're super tired and all you have to do is just clip down. Don't even have to worry about it. Another tip and great thing that I use the nursing tanks for is called the 2-shirt method, and that's great for nursing in public, especially if you're someone who likes to be covered. You by no means have to be covered. It is your legal right not to be covered. But if you prefer to be covered, the 2-shirt method is awesome because you have a nursing tank, which obviously is like this but longer, and has these little claspy things, and you have a t-shirt or whatever kind of shirt over top of it. You pull the shirt up from the bottom so you have a tank top on still, so all of your midsection is covered, and you pull the shirt up just enough so your chest is still covered, but you can still access the breast, and baby basically covers anything that is showing, if anything. Little tip for you. My next must-have is nursing pads. These ones are disposable. They also make ones that are washable. I didn't have too much issue with these. They did sometimes kind of bunch up, but they weren't too expensive. I had like a million of them. I wore them when I was pregnant, when I was leaking. Definitely in those first few weeks when you're leaking and engorged, must have, protects your clothes. I don't know about the washable ones, but these hold quite a bit of milk. This is just the Lancino brand. I got them on Amazon. I got most of this stuff on Amazon, and I will link everything down in the description box below for you guys, but nursing pads. Next on the list is something that's not completely breastfeeding related, and it may just help you whether you're breast or bottle feeding. But granola bars. I keep a box of these granola bars. I still keep them there. I don't really eat them as much anymore, but the breastfeeding appetite is real, guys, for real. If you think you're hungry when you're pregnant, just wait until you're breastfeeding because it's worse, in my opinion. I had kept these by my bed, so when I was up in the middle of the night for the 5th time nursing my child, granola bar. My next must-have is this nipple butter. There's a lot of different kinds. This is the Earth Mama Organics one. I know it's pretty popular. Something about this one that's not true to all the nipple creams and nipple butters is that you don't have to wipe this off before you nurse baby. It's safe for babies to ingest. So that was a plus for me. I didn't have to worry about wiping it off or anything like that. But as I said in my last video, my daughter had and still even has a shallow latch. So I was very sore, burning, bruised, uncomfortable for the first few weeks. And I seriously love this stuff. You can see I made a decent dent in this. I had one that was also in my diaper bag and in her nursery as well. It definitely helped me out in those first few weeks when I was very uncomfortable and sore and all that not so fun stuff. Also in the category of pain management is these hot cold packs. These are Lancino. They are designed specifically for your breast. They unhook here. I kept them in the covers. You can take them out. This is what they look like. There's 2 of them. They have these little beads. There's directions printed directly on them. It tells you how long to microwave for heat therapy. These were a lifesaver. I started out with just a warm washcloth. It helped, but they got cold really fast. So I really liked these because they were easy to like keep heating up and they stayed hot longer. This helped for engorgement pain. It helped for nipple pain. I didn't get these until a little bit later, and I wish that I had had them when I first had her because that was the most difficult as far as the pain and discomfort of breastfeeding. My next one is called a Milk Saver. This is the brand called Milky's. There's honestly like milk like caked into this because I use them all the time. Open this bad boy up. It stands up in this case so that it doesn't spill. If you've spilled milk before, I'm so sorry. It just looks like this. It has a little hole for your nipple to go in. It has a removable little cover thing. These are great because these will fit like right in your nursing bra. They fit in just like this. They collect milk if you're leaking. You can literally just walk around and leave these in if you're somebody who leaks a lot. I had 2 of them for that purpose. What I got most of my milk from when using these was my letdowns. I was glad that I had 2 of them so that I didn't have to empty and wash them as frequently. My daughter did and still does nurse a lot. I don't use them anymore because my letdown on my opposite side isn't as strong as it was when she was a newborn. But these hold up to 2 to 3 ounces, and sometimes I would fill that just on my letdown because I did have an overactive letdown. I don't know what is considered the norm. I don't even know if there is a norm because everybody's different. But I did collect a lot of these, and I had a pretty decent sized freezer stash that I ended up donating because my daughter didn't take a bottle. But these are great to catch your letdown. My daughter would nurse on one side. I would put this on the other side. It has an easy pour, so you just squeeze it. It's silicone and it pours right out here. Easy to get into a milk bag or a bottle or wherever you're transferring it to. Just great to have. I actually saw this in Olivia Zappo Breastfeeding Essentials video when I was pregnant, and I just thought it was the coolest thing and I had to have it. I think in her video she had said that she wished that she had had 2 of them to like walk around with just 2 of them in her bra, so that's why I bought 2 of them and I'm glad that I did. Another item that helps with collecting milk is the Haka. You may have seen these before. I think they're pretty popular. I think that the newer ones actually have like a lid to go over top of them, but mine has this little stopper which worked fine. I have knocked it over before and it not spilled out because the stopper was in it. Like, it doesn't really come out, and it does seal it really well. This also has a suction cup on the bottom so you can suction it to your nightstand or your table or wherever so you don't knock it over. I don't think all of them have that, but I specifically put this one on my registry because it had the stopper and the suction cup, and I don't think I ever spilled milk out of this. I did spill milk out of my Milk Savers because sometimes I would forget that they were in my bra and I would like bend over and it would all just come spilling out, and that was just heartbreaking to me. But I don't think I ever spilled milk out of my Haka. These are really easy to use. All you have to do is push back the flange, you squeeze the base of it, you put it on over your nipple, push the flange back, let go, and it suctions. This is technically a pump. It is not a milk catcher like the Milk Saver is, because of the suction on it, it does pull more milk out than just the letdown. So just keep that in mind. If you use this every feeding, you will probably create an oversupply. My daughter started sleeping through the night around 4 to 6 weeks-ish, and she stopped around the 4-month sleep regression, and I haven't had a restful night since. But when she did sleep those long 8 to 10 hour stretches, even like 6 to 7 hour stretches, and I was super engorged and full on one side, this was great to use on the opposite side. I haven't used it in a while because she's up every hour, 2 hours. But this definitely helped with that engorgement, and it helped keep my supply up when she was sleeping through feedings. If your baby's not sleeping through feedings or not missing feedings, I would opt in for the milk savers instead of the Haka, because this will stimulate your body to create extra milk. And to store all of that lovely milk that you catch in your Haka and your milk saver, milk storage bags. I just have the Lancino ones. I know that some people have issues with them. I've never had issues with them leaking. Not that my daughter gets her milk thawed and fed to her a lot, but if you are someone who plans on freezing and unfreezing a lot of milk, I would definitely look into different brands and reviews and see what you like. I never personally had any issues with the Lancino ones. I got these on Amazon. They store up to, I believe, 6 ounces. These ones have like a little protective coat you take off like this. You open it up here and you pour the milk in, which is super easy out of the milk savers and the Haka. I've never poured it out of a bottle because I never actually owned an electric pump. With my Haka and my milk savers, these were super easy to use. I never had an issue. Easy storage. Tip and trick, lay them flat when you put them in the freezer so that they're flat and not a whole bunch of bulky milk on the bottom. These store nicely. I will link these along with everything else in the description box below if you would like to check them out. We are almost done. Couple things left. One thing that was on my must-haves that also seems pretty obvious, you will need this whether you're breastfeeding or not, but it is burp rags. These ones are my favorite. They're literally cloth diapers. We don't use these ones for diapering because they're too thin. They're not very absorbent. But I love these as burp rags. And the reason these are on my must-haves for breastfeeding is because of my specific situation with my overactive letdown. My daughter couldn't handle how fast my milk was flowing out when I was having a letdown sometimes. So what I would do is have one of these on my shoulder just as a burp rag to have to wipe her, to burp her on. And another one I would tuck in to the base of my nursing bra or nursing tank or shirt or whatever I was wearing, because she would unlatch when I was having a letdown and milk would just be pouring out of me all over my clothes, and it was really awful. So I had to use these as a protective barrier for my clothing, and it actually worked very well. But I always had to have 2 burp rags. Even to this day, even though she can keep up with my letdown now, I still keep 2 of these in my diaper bag out of force of habit. And it's just nice to have extras, but that's a tangent. The next thing on my list is the Bobby. This is a nursing pillow, if you are unfamiliar. I know that there's different brands. This is just the Bobby brand. I like this. Some people prefer the My Breast Friend. I think it's a different shape. I don't know. I didn't have one. But this was fine for me. I know some people just use literal pillows, but I liked how this like fits around my body. I still use this to nurse her in her glider when I'm getting her to nap, but it just fits around your stomach like this. I don't even know if you guys can see that, but and then you can lay baby on it. It's actually easier to be hands-free, and especially in those first few days when you're working on latch, you have your hands to kind of adjust latch and positioning and all that while baby's resting on this. So I definitely recommend a Bobby or other type of breastfeeding pillow. Another essential for me was actually an app on my phone that was my tracking app. I know that there are a lot of these out there. The one that I used specifically was Glow Baby. I don't know if this is the best one. It's the only one I tried, but it has on there feeds, sleep, diaper, and pumping. I think you can actually add more stuff to it. Those are the only ones I used, and I only used the pumping one time when I was using my Haka. I still use this. I don't use it as religiously as I used to. Like, it says the last time my daughter was changed was 6 hours ago. That is not true. But in those first few days when you're supposed to be tracking those wet and dirty diapers a little more rigorously than now that she's 8.5 months, this definitely helped me out. And it helps me still today because I know when the last time she was changed was. The diapers I'm not super crazy about, but I'm still pretty vigilant about the nursing one and the sleep. The past few weeks through this sleep regression, I've gotten a little lazy during the night. You can see there's big, long, giant sleep stretches. Those aren't real. Those are just when my daughter fell asleep and until I just was too tired through all of her nursing sessions to mark that she nursed. and then when she finished nursing, to stop the timer, enter it, put in when she fell back asleep again. It was just too much. So, but I do have on here when she goes to sleep and when she wakes up, so that it's easier for me to track when she needs to nap, because she has about 3-hour wake times, and I can usually tell when she's starting to get tired. It just keeps us on a nice schedule and routine. But this is great to have, this or another one, whatever one you prefer. I like this one a lot. There's also a PDF thing that you can get, so you can have an entire like look through of all your child's patterns. It'll give you like graphs and statistics. It's pretty crazy. It's really in depth. Another thing that I use it for is her growth chart. So every time we go to the doctor, they obviously take her weight and they measure her head circumference and her height, and I can see on here her curves or how much she gained or what percentile she's in. It tells me. It's pretty accurate. Sometimes the percentiles on her papers are different. They're never more than 2 or even maybe 1% off. But there's even a list. It tells me all her measurements from the time that she was born, and it's just nice to see the actual like curve that she's on. My last essential item that I actually got when I was pregnant, so I guess it's also my pregnancy essential, but one of the number one things to keep your milk supply up is hydration. A lot of people talk about those body armor drinks and the pink drink that has coconut milk or coconut water or something in it. The reason that those things are assumed to boost supply is because they hydrate you. If those boost your supply, you probably needed more water intake. And I don't saying don't drink them. If they're helping you and boosting your supply, that's great. But I also recommend to probably drink more water if those are helping you a drastic amount. Anyway, this giant water jug. This is 64 ounces, which is, I think, a gallon if I remember my elementary school math correctly. But I love this thing. It has little times on it with little messages. Mine actually has a typo on it. It says 1 a.m. instead of 11 a.m. I don't really care because I know what it means. I got this on Amazon when I was pregnant, and I love this thing. I think you're supposed to drink at least 64 ounces a day as a human being, let alone when you're pregnant or breastfeeding, you're supposed to drink more. I would drink like 1.5 of these a day, and it was really nice to have on my nightstand because nursing through the night makes me so thirsty. I have to have water by my bed. Like, I wake up and I just feel like I walked out of the desert. I'm just unfathomably thirsty. So this was great because one of the reasons I felt like I had been dehydrated prior to getting this at times was because I was just too lazy, or it was just too inconvenient for me to keep filling up a regular sized water bottle. And that sounds dumb. If you're going to keep filling your water bottle, then this probably isn't necessary for you. But I would finish my water and like I would just forget about it. Or like I would go to drink it and I'd be like, oh, it's empty. I guess that I will just dehydrate and die here. This made that problem go away because I had 64 ounces of water next to me at the beginning of the day. I would fill it up before I went to bed. And usually by the time I woke up, it was like already down like halfway, because I drank so much at night. I usually filled this 1 or 2 times a day, and I don't think I ever drank 2 whole ones, but I did usually drink like 1 to 1.5 of these daily. That is all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe so you can see the rest of the breastfeeding series. Make sure to go watch my other video if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments down below if there's something that was essential to you when breastfeeding that you think that I missed or maybe I didn't know about. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. So I will see you back here in my next video, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye. I'm fine, guys. It's fine.